and welcome to our show, Dreams, Passion, and Your Hong Kong Story. Every time on this show, we bring before you people from different walks of life who have pursued their passion and found great success in Hong Kong. Today we have with us a very passionate and dedicated food entrepreneur and a great environment advocate, David Young. Hello, David, and
Hello.
welcome to our show.
Well, thank you for having me.
So David's dream from very early on was actually making people aware of environmental sustainability and also reduction of carbon footprint. And in pursuance of that dream, David decided to launch a non-profit organization with the name of Green Monday that actively encourages everyone to go meatless every Monday. In pursuance of this passion, David set up two companies, Green Common and Right Treat. Green Commons is a very unique and revolutionary retail, dining and distribution concept. And Right Treat has recently launched OmniPork, which is a vegan substitute for pork. Let's talk to David and find out how he's revolutionizing the entire food industry in Hong Kong and outside. So David, tell us, how did this journey begin? Were you a vegetarian from very early on in your life, or was that something that you decided to be as you grew up?
Well, first of all, thank you for that very generous introduction. It's still very surreal to me that the change is actually happening right now. I myself, I have been vegetarian for almost 20 years.
I see.
And at that time, it was just out of compassion for animals. So the more research I did, the more I found out that actually not only does meat consumption impact carbon emission, but it actually connects us to water consumption, land consumption, obviously human health, and animal welfare. And it is stunning how it creates such a mega negative impact in so many ways. So I just thought that then eating less meat is no longer just a moral issue, but this is a scientific and sustainability issue, and everyone should know.
What was the actual trigger point for start of your non-profit organization,
Right.
Green Monday?
Well, I come from a business family, and entrepreneurship is in our blood, is in my blood. So even a couple years after I graduated, I started my first business. It was a software company.
Software, so
yeah,
you were
it
an
was
engineer.
I was an engineer. I studied engineering, and my first company was a software technology company. I started when I was 23.
Okay.
And then it failed when I was 25, 26. Okay. Looking back, it was the best MBA.
Yes.
It was my MBA. That experience, I think, is probably more useful than, because that is your personal journey.
Right.
And you went through it, and then, of course, I spent a lot of time to reflect and just look back. All these years, I've been accumulating more business experience and management experience. But that entrepreneurship DNA is always in me. So when I look at environmental crisis, it is different from other types of social costs. With sustainability, it's very different. Technically, you don't need to donate to the earth. We need to change ourselves. We need to change the way we live, the way we, the transportation, food, etc. So sustainability actually must come with innovation. I made that connection very early that yes, we have a crisis, but no, this isn't purely about donation or traditional charity. It requires innovation, and innovation requires entrepreneurship.
I see.
And business. I said, it needs to be a social venture.
I see.
A hybrid of nonprofit and for-profit.
Okay.
Nonprofit is to advocates,
Right.
is to create the advocacy. We need to educate people what's the problem. That's the nonprofit side. But the for-profit side is we need to set up real enterprises that focus on innovation and provide a better means for
Right.
people.
Right.
A better way to, in this case, eat or consume nutrition. not just to tell people what's wrong without showing them then what to do.
Right. So Green Monday, why did you choose it to call it Green Monday?
Well, I was deeply inspired by Meat Free Monday, founded by the McCartney family. I thought the idea is genius because it doesn't need to be a binary thing, meaning you are either a meat lover or you are a pure vegan.
Right.
It creates something in the middle that is inclusive, right? One day a week, which who cannot do one day a week? No meat, the connotation is basically no food.
No food, I agree.
It becomes Foodless Monday. Which obviously would never work, right?
Right.
So because our whole movement and our whole enterprise, we have sustainability clear and most important objective, and the most obvious word to represent sustainability is green, and is clearly a term that is universal, regardless of what language or cultural background. Who doesn't understand green and who doesn't understand Monday, you know? So we just thought with the combination of those two simplest words that are universal, it can potentially create the foundation of a movement that can travel cross borders.
You're trying to actually revolutionize the way people eat their food.
Yes.
How has the journey been?
The number one challenge is the social stigma.
Okay.
It's just how people perceive vegetarian food or meatless diets in a very negative way. That people would ask me, oh, when am I going to become a monk?
Okay.
You know, when am I shaving my head, you know, and become a monk? Or, you know, did I encounter some life setback or, you know, tragedy that caused me to make such a dramatic decision, right? Like nothing happened. I thought two things. Number one, we must redefine the image associated with veganism or plant-based eating.
Right.
The image involves, you know, whether it's the wording, the terms we call it, the whole experience. Now, food is a very social thing, obviously.
Right.
So I thought we need to make plant-based eating, number one, fashionable, and number two, accessible.
Okay.
Accessible includes convenience. It certainly includes taste and, you know, the overall appeal.
So fashionable and accessible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Physical presence and the physical experience of Green Common is so important. It is a showcase of what the future plant-based lifestyle can be and should be like. 8 stores now. Every store, when it opened, it was groundbreaking. Because it used to be that there's no vegan shops or restaurants in any major shopping mall.
Okay.
So when we opened in Alexandra House, opened in Harbor City,
wow.
Every one store was a milestone. It was a groundbreaking milestone. Not just for us, but for the whole landscape of food. But our physical stores serve as the kind of the showcase.
Right, right.
But then the next step is we bring these products into grocery, into supermarket, and also into all different types of cuisines and restaurants. So today, actually, we have 8 shops, but across 6 countries right now, and very soon 10 countries in just a few months, we're talking about over 10,000 outlets.
Wow. How has Hong Kong been a base for your business? Now that you're also expanding your business in other countries, how relevant has Hong Kong been from the perspective of expanding the business?
Okay. I see Hong Kong as an incredibly international city in terms of understanding of culture, understanding of business practice. In various countries, we are very adept in that department. You know, so I look at Hong Kong first in terms of Asia as an incredibly good base to, first of all, create a trend. Now, because Hong Kong is so connected and relatively, again, you know, from a size standpoint, is relatively small. So to create a movement in this densely populated city is actually a very good choice. That really worked to our benefit. One, Hong Kong as a hub to just get something off the ground and as a testing ground for this to work. And then second, to use this as the base to create that ripple effect across the region. I always say that Green Monday in Hong Kong is similar to Uber in San Francisco. Uber fundamentally is they changed the behavior of how we get transportation, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it used to be that, hey, you know,
Yes,
I need a cab, I need a taxi, and sometimes you're lucky, it takes 30 seconds. If you're unlucky, it takes 30 minutes.
Totally.
But now we just go on our phone, and before you even go down to the building, you just, you know, hey, I need to go from point A, point B.
And you have a taxi waiting.
I studied the case of Uber very, you know, in depth and very in details. It took them many years to first, well, why should people download the app? And then when they download the app, the drivers are not yet in the Uber system. Yeah. So even if they say, oh, I want to go to the airport, I want to go to whatever, no driver picked them up. So how did that ecosystem happen? That finally, one day, everyone in San Francisco start to say, oh, I need a car, let's go on the app. It changed behavior. Right. I mean, the key for me is, and they focus on one city. Right. It took them many years to get to San Francisco. But once they got San Francisco, the next city was New York. Yeah. And then before,
it became global.
Before you know it, it's like everywhere. It's like, okay, of course I need a car, let's go on the app. I see a lot of parallel
between Uber and Green Monday.
Yes, and then Uber San Francisco and Green Monday in Hong Kong.
Right. So tell us about Omniport.
After multiple years of a lot of hard work and, you know, countless iterations, this final version of Omniport that is being released, and now you can taste and you can buy it in so many places now. It is made of non-GMO soy, pea protein, shiitake mushroom, rice, beetroots. So these are the key ingredients of Omniport. They're all natural. It's completely non-GMO, and it is designed to perform and to, in terms of cooking applications, whether you steam, you deep fry, pan fry, you know, whatever function we use with pork, I mean, it needs to perform exactly the same.
What do you have to say the environmental sustainability of these plant-based diets? Could you directly talk about some of the direct benefits on health, especially because it's really relevant right now with all this coronavirus scare that we have and all the, you know, different kind of virals that keeps happening from animal food. Yes. So what do you have to say about that?
Many countries, particularly in Asia, the way they raise animals, the way food supply chain works is still very outdated. And it completely cannot catch up with our exploding population, which is approaching 9 to 10 billion very soon. And most of that population growth is happening in Asia. So, for example, in China, I mean, it's facing a triple threat right now. Coronavirus, of course, and that come from food, wild animal consumption, and then the African swine fever, which has been decimating the hog industry, and then avian flu again. Yes. So the reality is, both in terms of, you know, animal agriculture practice, and in terms of fundamentally, can the world feed so many people, particularly the way we eat? I mean, we have just one Earth. Right. And it simply cannot sustain that many lives. You know, global population approaching 9 to 10 billion very soon. We simply are running out of food. We are running out of ways to feed the whole population based on the way we eat right now. Right. But can the problem be solved? The answer is absolute yes. We just cannot be consuming so much meat, which is extremely resource intensive, and it creates all sorts of pollution, carbon pollution, water pollution, etc. So shifting the world to a more plant-based diet, meat reduction, is a crucial step that everyone can participate in. We don't have to wait for government, we don't have to wait for corporation to invest billions of dollars to buy something or install something. It's something that we can do immediately. And the best thing about it is that it can improve our health.
Tell us a little bit about your personal journey in Hong Kong. How has Hong Kong been for your family life and for yourself?
Well, I was born in Hong Kong. I left Hong Kong and further my study in the States when I was 16. And then I spent over 11 years in the US before I came back to Hong Kong. So I'm a Hong Konger. And just like many Hong Konger, I also spend quite significant time outside of Hong Kong. And that, again, goes back to kind of why Hong Kong is so international, because many Hong Kongers indeed are very international by nature. I know I'm biased, but I just found Hong Kong, I mean, in terms of the efficiency of the city, in terms of the nature of just how people are very adaptable, people are very nimble. We react to things in a very quick way, and businesses are very vibrant, and all that. I mean, those are all things that, I mean, makes Hong Kong very much like the New York of Asia.
So David, are you ready for a rapid fire question round?
Let's do it.
That is getting to know your Hong Kong story in a bit more fun way.
Okay.
Question number 1.
Yes.
Your most favorite item from Green Commons?
My most favorite item, Omni pork gyoza,
Oh.
the dumpling.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surely going to try that one. Your favorite casual dining place in Hong Kong?
I like 𝐄𝐜𝐨.
Okay, what's
It's a Hong Kong 茶餐廳.
I see.
Which is, even though, of course, as a vegetarian, now they're adding more choices. But it's just very homey. It's a
Okay.
very comfort food style.
Right?
Yeah.
What exactly is it? This is for our international audience. Like, can you?
It's like Hong Kong style deli.
Okay.
That, the menu, you can find every type of food on the menu.
Okay.
And the speed of service is just so fast that, you sit down, they ask you what you eat, and then like 2 minutes later, the food is like, on your table. So
Okay.
that's just a very Hong Kong iconic place.
Okay. And your favorite formal dining place in Hong Kong?
I've brought my wife to Amber.
Oh, I love Amber. French cuisine.
In Mandarin Oriental, multiple times for our anniversary, for her birthday.
Okay.
And they have very good vegetarian or vegan tasting menu.
Okay.
So yeah, Amber has become one of our favorite destinations.
That's interesting to know
Yeah.
because not many French restaurants offer
I
vegan
know.
or vegetarian.
Yes, so indeed, their chef has become very plant forward.
Okay.
They are exploring a lot of just very innovative dishes without meat. So that's one place. If I can be greedy and just say another one, Tate on Hollywood Road is also one of my wife's favorites.
And what kind of cuisine do they serve?
It's a fusion Asian French, actually.
Okay.
So every time when we go, we get a lot of surprise.
So your favorite cultural activity?
Well, I am Buddhist. I am Buddhist. So whether it's going to Lantau or some activities on Buddha's Day, to me, kind of connecting kind of our heritage and also kind of that religion and the philosophy of Buddha, and then to connect that to our modern day life, and kind of communicating that to young people. I love that. I mean, and that's not just limited to religion. It is part of culture. I mean, is woven into our daily lives. Yeah.
3 words that describes David's Hong Kong life.
Well, number 1, the first word is home. The second word is gratitude. I'm thankful for the city. I'm thankful for what the city has given me in all ways. Family, friendship, education, culture, you name it. And then finally is vibe.
Okay.
I think the vibe in Hong Kong, how it connects culture, how it connects people from all walks of life, and everything. That entrepreneur spirit and that do-good spirit, everything. That vibe in Hong Kong is unique. So home, gratitude, and vibe.
All right, so as a Hong Konger, what are you most proud about Hong Kong?
I think Hong Kong people are very resilient. I mean, resilience. I mean, now sadly, we have gone through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of huge crises. But Hong Kong people have proven time and time again that we can bounce back. And I think it is during the most difficult time that shows our real nature.
Right. And what would you tell our 7 billion people around the world? Why should they visit Hong Kong?
Good food?
Yes.
Come to Green Common.
For sure, one definitely must visit Green Commons.
I think the combination of food and then obviously culture, business, everything. I mean, it's a combination, and it's also geographically very convenient when you come to Hong Kong, and then you go on to other cities or other countries. It's just such a good place. It's very much center of kind of this part of Asia.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, David, for being on our show, and we wish you very best in all your future endeavors. Stay tuned for our next episode on dreams, passion, and your Hong Kong story, where we shall be bringing you yet another fascinating story from this wonderful place which we call Hong Kong.